Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Cheryl Schmitt again here with a new guest for my talk and tea. I have some chai tea today with a little froth on top. So if I get a little mustache, somebody's got to tell me because I don't know, I'm hoping not to. But today I have with me the super duper Miss Kim Graves. We'll tell you a little bit about Kim and then we will just get chatting. Of course, if anybody gets on here and you want to ask a question along the way, you can always just type it in the comments. We should see it here on the side of my screen, and we'd be happy to answer your questions along the way as well. So here's Kim. Kim is a mom of 3, also a Navy wife, and has been teaching birth boot camp education classes for 4.5 years. She is a founding member of the Island Birth Association. She has had 3 amazing and empowering births and believes all women should experience birth as empowering no matter what type of birth they are planning. She believes education is the key to attaining that and is passionate about helping families educate themselves so they can make the best decisions they can for their own birth experiences. Welcome, Kim.
Thanks.
I heard a lot about education there. So
yes,
I'm gathering that education is one of your main passions. So tell me about it. What do you do and why do you do that?
When I was pregnant with my first baby, 11, 12 years ago now, just kind of, I'm just going to go get the epidural, go to the hospital. That's just what you do. And somewhere along the line decided that that's not what I wanted to do. And so my husband and I signed up for a 12-week childbirth class, really, really involved, lots of education. And I was stubborn and determined to have a natural birth. And I did, and I had an amazing hospital birth with my first, and really, really credited the education that I had gotten with that. And really felt like every woman should walk away from their births feeling that kind of ecstatic joy and sense of accomplishment that I felt. And so I knew right then that someday I wanted to teach birth education.
Cool. What classes what classes do you take? Do you remember?
I took a Bradley class.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, and I actually looked a little bit into Bradley when I decided to certify. And Birth Bootcamp had just come out on the market, and it just fit what I wanted to do a little bit better. And so I chose to certify with them instead.
And I think back, because my oldest is now 13 years old. So back at that time, Bradley classes were almost the only real natural leaning childbirth classes that they had, other than just going to the hospital and doing the hospital childbirth classes, which are usually shorter and not as detailed. And
definitely,
don't give you as many options to look at. So Bradley definitely was kind of one of the forerunners of that. And
absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about the birth boot camp and what makes that different. Why do you like that one so much?
So what I really, really loved about it primarily was that it was woman created. It was created by a group of women, and pretty much everything else on the market was created by men. And so that really, really spoke to me. The other thing that I really love is that they really try and stay on top of research and keep everything really modern and up to date. Our materials change. About once a year, we get new stuff that gets added and changed and updated. And so I really love that it stays, current for women who are having babies now.
Yeah. And I think you guys even talk about chiropractic care in your
absolutely
boot camp. So I love
so we're
that.
We're actually the only national certification that talks about chiropractic. A lot of the classes or the trainings that you can do, you kind of create your own curriculum, but we're the only national curriculum that does talk about chiropractic. So it's a great benefit for pregnant women, and I love talking about it. I actually teach out of a chiropractor's office, and
I think it's awesome. More and more women are learning about the benefits of chiropractic care, and
absolutely.
I think that it is awesome that you guys are spreading the word and helping out. So, what is your demographic? Like, what kind of people are you reaching out to?
So in the past, Birth Bootcamp was created to be a natural birth class. But just in this year and in the coming year, in fact, I think next month, we've added a bunch of new classes. And so kind of going out from just natural birth specific into just women who want, a good birth and to be well educated going into their births. So, it's women who really, and families, my classes are for mom and dad, who just really want that education and want to make good choices for themselves in their births.
How long is the class series that you do?
My comprehensive class is 10 weeks. And then I've got a new out-of-hospital birth class that's 4 weeks. So if you're planning an out-of-hospital birth, and then the class that it's launching next month is a hospital birth class, and that's going to be a 6-week class. And then I offer a couple of 1-day classes as well.
You got lots going on.
Lots to offer. Yeah.
And you do. Go ahead.
My 10-week is the one that I teach the most of. So it's a 10-week comprehensive, covers everything in the kitchen sink.
And you're in Oak Harbor, so
yes.
The office that you are teaching out of is in Oak Harbor, but you do classes in Mount Vernon as well, correct?
I tried to. I had somebody who was interested in having me teach classes out there, and I just couldn't fill my class enough to make that drive worth it.
Okay. Well, hopefully now we'll have a whole bunch of people that will learn about you and want to take a class.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Because I think it's you offer a great value in your classes, and I've seen some information on them even at chiropractic events. There's sometimes booths there, and talk to them, and the classes are amazing. So I hope more people find out about it. I want to ask you a question about misconceptions. What are some of the common misconceptions in birth or natural birth, and like in general? What do you come across?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I think, particular to natural birth, I think the idea that, well, my mom did it, so I can do it. And unfortunately, hospital birth for our generation is so different than what our mothers had in the hospital settings in their generation. So that was kind of my, I experienced that. My mom had a natural birth with me, and that was one of my big driving points when I was planning mine was, well, my mom did this, so I can totally do this. But then later understanding that the hospital environment had changed considerably in those, 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one, especially with natural birth.
Yeah, I think I asked my mom at one point, I said, was I early or was I late? Was I on time? And she just says, I have no idea. We didn't even hardly keep track of that stuff. Yeah. I just knew I was pregnant, knew I was having a baby. Like there was no strong focus on a due date. Whereas now there's such a strong focus on the due date, huge focus on the due date. And amongst a bunch of other things, the hospital I was even born in, and actually still to this day, because it's a really small town, you can't even get an epidural in the hospital because they don't have anesthesiologists on staff. Yeah. So you have to go to a different hospital if you need that. So people are traveling a long ways now, but back when my mom had me, they didn't even worry about it. They just had the babies in the hospital. Yeah.
Well, that was the Navy hospital here didn't offer epidural. I mean, I remember when we lived here before we had kids and talking to, women just a little bit older than me that were having their babies, and they didn't offer epidurals here for, probably in the last 15 years, that's new here. Yeah. So I always thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah. It's just a big shift on how things are even done. Yeah. And I'm sure there are a lot of women who are very thankful that there is an epidural available for their births, those long births, or, it's going a little haywire. So it's good to have those advances, but it's a different era that we're living in now than when our moms were. Yes. Tell me about the Island Birth Association. You're the founding member of that. And how did that come around, and why did you start that?
We had lived here on and off for, it's been almost 15 years now. We've lived here on and off. And coming back into this environment as a birth educator, and just kind of seeing that there wasn't a whole lot of communication between birth professionals on and around the island, and just wanting to be able to reach out to the public. And so we talked, there was a group of 4 of us, and we reached out to these women and said, hey, let's plan a rally to improve birth, which is Improving Birth's big yearly event. And you go out and you sign wave, and, it's really fun, but people don't really understand it. And so I wanted to build more. And so these other 3 women and I sat down and talked, and, part of it was that when we were birthing parents, it was hard for us to find the resources that we wanted. Yeah. And then part of it was that as professionals, it was hard to get our name out there and to the public, but also network within other birth professionals. And so that was the goal in creating that, was creating kind of a one-stop shop for people to be able to find information, and an easy place for professionals to be able to reach out to the public.
So as I think you can see this, I'm not too sure what all you can see on here, but I put the website to islandbirth.org. So if anybody wants to find out more information on that, you've done a great job in that. Because how long have you been doing that now? Is it 3 years?
2.5 now, I think. Yeah. So I feel like it's grown quite a bit in the short amount of time. We've got a small group of very passionate women and a great amount of professionals around here that have supported us from the very beginning. So
I strongly believe that you have a couple of passionate women behind anything and things are going to get done.
Absolutely. So. Yep, I totally agree with you.
And your new newsletter is coming out here right away.
It's out. Yeah, it's out. Yeah. I think it's fantastic. I'm so excited about it.
I think someone's dropping one off in my office. I think next week. I'm not too sure. I think Erica was going to pick some out and bring some over. So I'll have those in my office for people who come in and want to grab that. It has a great list of resources, and not just people on the island. There's people in Skagit County. It's kind of more heavily weighted towards.
It is, and we're kind of hoping that as we grow, we can start branching out a little bit more and getting more, people from your side of the pond. Yes.
Our side on the mainland.
So I hope to see us grow quite a bit. And we have a doula that's from Bellingham listed now. So cool. Reaching out a little bit more.
And this weekend you have an event, right?
Yep, the Birth and Baby Fair is going on Saturday at the Best Western here in Oak Harbor.
Cool.
So lots of great professionals, and
you guys are gonna have speakers and vendors and all that kind of fun stuff. Yep. So get out to that if you can. And it's on Saturday from what time?
I want to say it's 10 to 3.
Okay.
So that's right.
It's probably on islandbirth.org, right? So if
it's actually, so it's being hosted by Coral Mint, Abigail Gross. She's one of our board members, but she's the one hosting it. Cool. We've been advertising for it.
Okay.
And next year we will take over organizing it because she is moving away. So.
Oh, where's she moving to?
Spain.
Oh, military.
Yeah.
What about class? We'll go back to your classes here. How much do you charge? I mean, you have a lot of different options now, a lot of different one-day classes, 10-week classes. So what is the cost of your classes? And how do people do that?
So my main class, my 10-week class is $350. And, when I first started teaching, I have gone up a little bit since I first started teaching, but it was about $300, $250 maybe when I first started teaching. And even that I felt like was so expensive. But when you really break it down over the hours of education that you're getting, and we also include a 4-hour breastfeeding DVD with an IBCLC, and you get weekly emails. So it's more than just the 30 hours basically of education. It really is worth that money, I feel like. And I know that there are people who can't afford that. And so I'm always happy to work with people on payment plans, or, I offer military discounts and, trying to make that work, because I don't feel like the cost should be the one thing that stops somebody. If somebody wants to take a class, I want them to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women in healthcare and the birth profession, we really, really want to help people. So
absolutely,
sometimes we bend over a little too far backwards. But it's definitely an investment. And I think that things like this, education, is going to save somebody a pile of money in the long run.
Yeah.
So I don't like calling it a cost. I like calling it an investment. It's an investment in a good start and a good, healthy beginning to you and your family. And that is priceless, really.
Yeah.
Because I see people who have not great birth outcomes because they weren't educated or had really a lot of troubles breastfeeding and then had to switch to formula, and formula is super duper expensive.
Yeah.
Not only the cost of formula, but then the cost of the health issues that can come with trying to figure out which formula is right. So there's all this kind of snowball effect.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's a very, very small investment, in my opinion, to try to create a healthier start and a healthier future. It pays off.
We spend so much time and money on other things. You know, we're buying our cribs, or we're buying our car seats, and we're buying, you know, just so much baby gear, and you know that money's being spent anyway. And so, you know, trying to kind of budget it in a different way, you know, can sometimes work.
And just understand how important it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I have a little problem with baby carriers. I have a couple wraps, a couple Virgos,
I might have a similar problem.
I think I've seen some of your stash.
And I don't have a little baby anymore. My baby is 4, but now I use them to teach my classes, so I can't get rid of them.
We can justify it all.
Yes.
So your website is Keep Calm Birth On, right? That's
yes.
where people can reach you and find out about the classes and find out all about you, more about you. Yeah. What are some of your final thoughts, like just in general, about the birth culture and what's happening lately? Like what? It's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question. I don't know. I mean, I feel like things are improving. I feel like there's a pendulum, you know, and we went kind of in the 70s to the backlash to medicated birth, and you know, the feminists who really wanted natural birth, and the hippies and all of that. And then that pendulum swung so far to the other side, where we're seeing, you know, like 90% of women being induced in some hospitals, and epidural rates, you know, right up there. And so I feel like that pendulum's starting to kind of come back and find a center. But that might just be the people that I surround myself with. But it does give me hope. You know, there's more people who are choosing. I just think people are more willing to be educated, and that education is more accessible. You know, not even taking classes, but just having online resources.
Exactly.
So there's people are able to make better choices for themselves. And I've always said, you know, my classes were built specifically for natural birth, but I've always said that I feel like everybody would benefit from them, because there is so much that's going to happen in your birth that you might not understand. And so just understanding what's going to happen, even if you choose to get the epidural or choose to schedule a cesarean, you know, whatever type of birth you have, knowing what you're getting into is important, and knowing the pros and cons of all of those things.
Yeah. I think there's so much more, like you said, opportunity for education now because of all the online resources, but it still doesn't substitute for having somebody one-on-one and be able to look at them. And
I mean, I agree with that.
And
that's
ask them questions.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, you create a community, and that's what I love about my classes is, you know, it's not only a relationship with me as someone who has done this 3 times, but it's a relationship with the other students in your class who are going through the same thing. Yeah. And I know for me, when I was planning my natural birth, my first one, you know, I would talk to people and, oh yeah, good luck with that. Like, you know, that's never going to happen. And so having that community of my class and my instructor was really important to me. Yeah. To know that I wasn't alone.
There are some bubbles that you do want to be part of, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I'm somewhat in that bubble as well, you know, doing what I do. And I'm a mom. I've had 4 home births and chiropractor. I mean, I do things a little bit on the natural side, you'd say. Yeah. So the people around me are that way. So, but it's great to have that support circle because
absolutely
it's growing. The numbers are growing, and we live in the Pacific Northwest, where I think those numbers may be larger here than in some other areas of the country.
Yes.
But there's still a lot of people who think that we're absolutely bonkers.
Yes.
You know, for doing the things that we do.
Yes.
And so I think community is awesome.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to tell us?
No, I don't think so. I mean, thank you for having me and for chatting, and thank you for being a member of Island Birth Association and supporting us for as long as you have. And
absolutely, I'm always wanting to help women be empowered in what they do and their decisions, and I try not to push people one way or the other, but I want them to be educated across the spectrum.
Yep.
And I do obviously do a lot more education on the natural side, because I think that they're bombarded with the other side. They don't need a lot more education on that side, because that's what we see all the time.
Yes.
So I am more than happy to support you guys in what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great. I think the community is great. I think your classes are wonderful. Yes. I love everything about you.
Well, thank you.
So if there's nothing else, you guys can reach Kim at Keep Calm Birth on. Yes. If you have any questions, you can send a message to me or to her through Facebook. You can find us. We are all over the place. And check out islandbirth.org for resources. I think I'm probably going to have a couple of other people who are members come on and do another tea and talk. I think there's someone who wants to tell us a little bit about homeopathy, which I need to learn more about.
Yes, yeah.
And acupuncture. There's all kinds of great.
So the only other resource that I would recommend, especially for pregnant women and women who have just had babies, is the Island Birth Association has our Facebook group, Pregnant and Postpartum on Whidbey. And obviously not, just for Whidbey Island, but that's just what we've titled it, because most of our moms are here. And so that's a great resource, is, that talking about that community, and, it's a women supporting women group. So it's not really heavily moderated. It's just there for women to ask questions of other pregnant women and other moms. So that's a great resource as well.
That's Pregnant and Postpartum on Whidbey Island, or just Whidbey?
Just on Whidbey, I think is what we've named it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try to put a link for it too down at the end of this, so people can click on that. So if you have anything you want to add to that little discussion comment thread afterwards, links and contacts, things like that, that would be great to add those too. So anyway, if that's all for today, I loved having you and sharing your passion, and keep on doing what you're doing. And any way I can help you, I am here to support what you do.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I'll talk to you later.